everyone, I am Erika of beadingschool.com and you are watching No One Has to Bead Alone, my weekly open beading workshop to make sure that every beader all around the world has company. Today we are going to work on Zuzi's Silent Embrace earrings. These motifs were made by her while she got inspired by the newest Beading School Academy theme box, The Everlasting Kiss. And I would love to greet Rita, Asta, Ellen, and Michaela. And I would right away love to join Rita in wishing all our beaders who celebrate Hanukkah a very, very warm and happy beginning of the upcoming days. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. Michaela, Rachel is also here. Cosima, Antoinette, Ellen, Kata, Kim, and Judith too. Lita, so good to see you. Linda is also here. Jennifer. Wonderful. So lovely ladies, thank you so much everyone for joining me here today. And I know that indeed many of you are celebrating Hanukkah. So I would like to also thank you that you made the time to be here still besides starting the days. You also made time and reserved energy to join your beady friends here. So indeed, no one has to bead alone. And I'm so incredibly happy to see how everyone, no matter what holiday we are celebrating, everyone is joining in getting to know each other's traditions and wishing each other beautiful, heartfelt times. So indeed, it's time for the Silent Embrace designed by Zuzi today. And on Monday, we always have a little meeting with Zuzi to start the week. We discuss how the previous week went. Of course, we a little bit catch up with how were the weekends, and we also look into it, what's going to happen during the upcoming days. And on Monday, we were joking about it. I told her that since our style is so similar, even the thread tension we use is similar, the way how we think about beading is similar, that sometimes I can't tell the difference when some years have passed, that if she or I have designed a motif and she is while I love the creations of all my friends' designers, but she is the only one that I trust that I have done it before, that I, for some reason, could not bead her motif before. No one has to bead alone, but I knew that it is going to be okay. I do not like to do that, but sometimes I was forced to just bead it for the first time together with you. But of course, I always do my best to be ready. However, I discovered that I have only one single rectangle left, not any other colors, just the 4 I had. There are 2 in the Everlasting Kiss Beading School Academy theme box, and I am working with 2 boxes always. And last week I made a whole set where I used up 3 of the rectangles. So I have only one left. And I had to make a decision that if I am going to bead it, cut it apart, and then bead the same again. So I decided that I do trust Zuzi, and no pressure on you, Zuzi. She says, I'm not stressed out at all now. So no pressure. This is on me. And I opened also your tutorial and I studied your tutorial in advance. So please, everyone, keep all your fingers crossed for me while you will be beading. So that might be a challenge. And I'm going to learn to bead Zuzi's silent embrace together with you. And you can already download, I apologize, you can already download the tutorial from novanhastobeadalone.com or beadingschool.com/novanhastobeadalone/ or you can simply go to beadingschool.com and then find No One Has to Bead Alone in the main menu. As always, there are 2 options waiting for you for 3 days starting now, well, an hour before the video. You can always download the tutorial as a gift from me and Beading School, since it is our social contribution that started at the beginning of the pandemics, and we still keep going strong thanks to the Beading School community. You can also decide to check out with the tutorial through the Bead shop and support the broadcast. And I'm grateful for you being here, no matter which option you choose, because the main goal of this is so no one has to bead alone. And the gift option, it's available for you for 3 days, and Silent Embrace, the PDF, will stay in the Beading School Bead shop as long as possible. And let's see now that what are we going to use for today's motif. Oh, and Ellen busted me. She says, it seems that you do not prepare mini kits. Indeed, and it is a mistake, dear Ellen. It is a mistake. I will have to prepare mini kits for all the No One Has to Bead Alone motifs to avoid this happening again. You are so right. I could have saved the day. Anyway, we will need a single rectangle in the 10 times 14 millimeter size, a glass rectangle cabochon in a metal claw setting. We will also need 4 pieces of Miyuki Tilla beads, 4 pieces of Miyuki 3 millimeter bugle beads, 4 pieces of 4 millimeter Preciosa bicone beads, 8 pieces of 3 millimeter fire polished beads, 4 pieces of 2 and 4 pieces of 3 millimeter round pearls. There are also some seed beads needed, of course, some size 15 Miyuki round seed beads, and some size 11 Miyuki Delica beads. The designer of today's motif is Zuzi. She is known for her intricate thread paths, and I always admire her, how creative she can get. And if you would like to explore more of her designs, then I posted the link in the comment fields and also put the QR code on the screen so you can access Zuzi's little gallery in the designer zone. She also prepared some ideas for us that she included in the PDF tutorial that you can download. Some ideas on how to use the motifs. You can make smaller earrings like her originals. You can make it into an elongated one, a longer statement piece if you add some pendant drops at the bottom, or you can join some into a full elegant, even more sparklier bracelet. And before I would switch to my hand camera, then I would like to mention that this week we released a beautiful new collection that has become a tradition for the Advent season. It's called Moonlight Melody, and this is dedicated to the sounds of holidays. And I was really happy to see when you shared what kind of melodies you are listening to. I would also like to thank you for loving this new collection, because already more than half of the boxes were gone in a matter of a few hours, and now we have about a quarter left, I think. So if you were hesitating, this is the time to go for them. And now I would like to switch to my hand camera, and in the meantime I will show you the video about the Moonlight Melody box. So see you in a little while, and then let's get started. Hello ladies, I'm back, and you should be able to hear me again, and you should be able to see the material list, the first step now, to be more precise, and also my bead mat with the rectangle. Please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me well. That's fine, Ariana says, and I would also like to greet Zuzka, Helena, Tammy, Susanna, Gemma, and Nitty, and Terry. And since that is fine, then let's get started. I start by beading through the lower pair of holes of the rectangle, and then I pick up a Miyuki Delica size 11, a fire polished bead in the 3mm size, another Miyuki Delica size 11, a fire polished bead in the 3mm size, and a third Miyuki Delica size 11. And now I bead through the top pair of holes of the rectangle, and I pick up the same combination. So basically it's 3 Miyuki Delica size 11s and 2 fire polished beads interchangeably, starting and finishing with a size 11 Miyuki Delica. So this is how it looks like. And now I will repeat the thread path while I will skip the Miyuki Delica that sits in between the fire polished beads. In the meantime also, Ginny joined Molly, and Hannah says that she is going to make an earring and a pendant for a full set. So I'm beading through Delica fire polished bead Delica, top hole of the rectangle, and then again Delica fire polished bead, fire polished bead Delica, and the bottom hole of the rectangle. I finished this step by beading through Delica fire polished bead, skipping the Delica in between, and the second fire polished bead. So this was step 1, super easy, thank you, Zuzi. In step 2, there is going to be some snapping, and we all love that snapping under the prongs. So while I am exiting the fire polished bead, I pick up 2 Milky Delica size 11 seed beads. I already let them fall where they belong, and only then I snap the thread under the nearest prong. Here I pick up Delica 4mm bicone, Delica 4mm bicone, and other Delica. Again, the beads go already where they belong because I don't want to pull my whole fire line through the prong. And then I pull the part under the prong, which is as close as possible to the place where it will actually stay. Now it's again time to pick up a pair of Milky Delicas, and then I bead through fire polished bead, Delica, fire polished bead. I pick up a pair of Delica beads, and I pull the thread under the prong. I love that this is becoming already a bit structural. Here I pick up Delica bicone, Delica bicone, and Delica. Again, pulling the fire line under the prong. Picking up a pair of Milky Delicas, and then beading through fire polished bead, Delica, and fire polished bead. Also, I finish off this step by beading through the very first pair of Milky Delicas that I added in this step. So my thread is basically facing the prong. And buenos dias, butterfly. And Irma is also here with us. So this is how it looks at the after step 2. And let's see what's happening in the next one. In the next one, we are going to add 2mm round pearls over the prongs, and we will repeat the thread pass while skipping the Delica bead in between the 4mm bicones. So here, after I'm exiting the pair of Delicas, I pick up a 2mm pearl, and then I bead through Delica and Preciosa bicone. I skip the Delica, and I bead through bicone and Delica. Jessica is asking, after the fire polished bead, did you bead through the Delica? Yes, this time I did not skip. In step 2, I did not skip the Delica. Here I'm also not skipping the Delica between the fire polished bead, only skipping the delica between the bicones, and I'm adding the 2mm pearls over the prongs. And Zuzi, this is such an incredibly fast motif to bead. I'm already at the end of step 3. While I know that the whole motif is only 6 steps long. Incredible. After adding the last 2mm pearl, I bead along the edge through the beads. And I want to finish this step by beading through bicone, delica, bicone. And now it's time already for step 4. In step 4, I pick up, after beading through the bicone bead, I pick up the combination of round 15, Miyuki Tilla bead, and round 15. Here, I bead through fire polished bead, delica, and fire polished bead. So the Tilla bead, it will slide under the pearl and the delica beads. So this will be layered and super sturdy. Here, after I beaded through fire polished bead, delica, fire polished bead, again, I pick up round 15, Tilla bead, and round 15. And then I bead through bicone, delica, and bicone. Ula is beading another design, but she is here for the company, and that is so incredibly nice, Ula. And in the meantime, while we are beading, ladies, let me know if you have seen the color of 2026 that was just announced by Pantone. I'm curious, what are your thoughts about it? It is a white shade called Bright Dancer, I think, and it will bring us clarity and peace to the next year. And I have a feeling that it might not be my favorite to use but definitely it's something, the values that resonate with me. But I'm not sure that it is something that will inspire me that much creatively. More the feeling. Here I picked up again round 15, till a bead round 15, and then I bead only through fire polished bead and Miyuki Delica. Oh no, sorry, I have a fourth one to add. And Ellen says, I thought they will choose a more colorful color. I get your point. Lita says, honestly, I think it's ridiculous. Terry says, it is white. I thought white was not a color. Judith also says, very neutral. Surprised me. Angelina says, it will go with any other color. And Terry agrees on that. And yeah, I totally understand your thoughts. I was surprised. And yeah, it's a neutral. It's more, for me, it can appear as supporting or creating a backdrop for other colors, but it will never have the show. But in a way, when I am thinking about it, peace and clarity, they are subtle. Especially peace. It's not loud. Peace is when we can relax. So the thoughts resonate, the color doesn't. And I think that's very possible and completely okay. And now, as I finally added all the 4 Miyuki Tila beads, then my aim is to finish this step by exiting the Miyuki Delica in between the fire polished beads. And Angelina said, we had Delica beads in that color in this box actually, and that's so true. And Terry says also that she loves the pearls in the box that are white, and I am also using them today. Actually, for me it's a big change that I am including white in my beading, and this is something that has changed for me during these past years. So interesting. And now, after step 4, let's see what's happening in step 5. In step 5, we are adding some 3mm pearls, some 3mm fire polished beads, and size 15 seed beads. So I'm starting from a Delica bead between the fire polished beads and also bugle beads, 3mm bugle beads. So I'm starting out from a Delica in between fire polished beads. I pick up size 15, bugle, size 15. I bead through the outside hole of the next Tila bead. Then I pick up a sequence of size 15 fire polished, size 15 3mm pearl, Delica bead. This is a long sequence, ladies. 3mm pearl, size 15, fire polished, and size 15. So to repeat it, this big sequence, it consists of size 15, 3mm fire polished bead, size 15, 3mm pearl, delica, 3mm pearl, size 15, 3mm fire polished, size 15. And with this big sequence, I bead through the outside hole of the Miyuki delica. I love it, by the way, that these beads will not be connected to the previous arch of beads, so it gives a very airy effect. Now, exiting the outside hole of the Tilla bead, I pick up size 15, bugle, size 15. I bead through the Miyuki delica between the fire polished bead, and then I repeat the whole sequence on the other side. And Ellen says, we already had a current here with a neutral color, but the piece relation is the important term. And Angelina says, I really hope the next team will have some bright oranges and yellows in it. Probably not, because it will be in January, but maybe some upcoming team next year. Let's see, Angelina. And Ellen says, in my opinion, Erika is a trendsetter, as the delica in this box have that color. So well done, Erika, they copied your idea. Oh, Ellen, I wish they did. And Angelina also says, this is such a nice airy design. And Kim says, white is the silent voice, according to Pantone. The negative space, we should notice, that calmly sits in the background as a quiet voice. Indeed. And sometimes so not sometimes, but always, those subtle moments, what is happening in the background, is just as important than the harsh, loud tones. I love your thoughts, ladies. So I filled in again a sequence of size 15, bugle size 15, and now comes the big group of size 15, fire polished bead, size 15, 3mm pearl, delica, 3mm pearl, size 15, fire polished bead, and size 15. And with all these beads on my needle, I bead through the outside hole of the next tilla, and I finish picking up new beads by adding the last group of size 15, bugle, size 15. I bead through the delica bead I started out from, that is in between the fire polished beads, and then I repeat the thread path through the first part of the design while skipping the delica between the 3mm pearls. I want to finish by beading all the way up here through size 15, bugle size 15, and I stop before I would need to bead through the delica bit between the fire polished beads. And Terry says, white is a softener and black is an enhancer, in my opinion. And that is such a good thought, dear Terry. And Angelina says, the dark square tillas in juxtaposition to the gold and pearly open loops make this design fascinating to me. I also find it very intricate, dear Angelina, and I love it that when we are beading this, no one has to bead on designs. Then, of course, because of the limitations of the time and the space, the designs tend to be smaller, but still the designers are able to show their talent and inspire us so much within those tiny motifs. So I will now retrace the thread path all around the motif on the edge while I fill up delica beads over the delica beads here in between the size 15s. And again, to make the bottom and the top pointy, I skip the delica beads between the pearls. And Ariana says, I haven't seen the Pantone color yet. Just hear all the talking about peace, and that's the color of the delicas in our box, which I assume is called bone. Is it just me, or is it a little bit morbid? Well, yeah, indeed, the delicas in our box are called bone, the matte opaque bones that we were talking about. And of course, it is a bit, in a way, morbid. But you know, on the other hand, I am at the moment reading a book about modern day stoicism, how we should accept what's coming our way. We should, of course, make the most of it. We should and not just like enjoying life and using the opportunities to be happy, but also to like show up and live according to our values. That's the most important thing. But part of stoicism is, oh, it's by the way an ancient Greek and Roman philosophy that seems to really withstand the tooth of the time and provide like a nice backbone or like a compass on how we can live well. So it also says, and many different religions, of course, also say that a good way to live life well, to also acknowledge this instead of ignoring that everything is finite, has a beginning and an end. So in a way, peace and bones, they belong together. And by slightly just remembering and not too much focusing on it, that everything comes to an end after a while, this thought, I think, will make us appreciate and cherish love and loved ones and life so much more. And with that thought, I actually came to the end of step 6, and I misremembered. There is, step 7. Oh dear, Ariana, thanks for your thought. She says, I love your philosophy. It's not by any means my philosophy, dear Ariana. I would be so proud to be able to come up with such a thought, but it is the thought of Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. So I am just reading the book about modern day stoicism. And the finishing step, it will take us one more time around the edge of the motif, while we will be filling in delica beads in between the bugle and the delica from the previous step. And Gemma is asking about the connection. Dear Gemma, it's a very, very good question. And let's first finish the motif, and then please let's get back to the connections after finishing the motif, I'm happy to help out. So here I'm exiting the Miyuki bugle. I pick up a delica bead and I bead through the delica bead that I added in the previous step. Again, delica, and then into the bugle. And all around the motif. Gemma would, by the way, love to make a bracelet, and that's why she's asking about the connections. So ladies, also, if you have some other questions, then let's get started and let's focus on questions. Or also, if you have an idea for Gemma, because there are many different possibilities on joining more components to each other, so there is not one right answer, but many different ones. So please share your ideas with Gemma. I'm sure she will appreciate it and it will help her to choose the one that will resonate with her personal style the most, or maybe like will match what she has in her stash. After adding the delicas, I'm beading all the way up to the delica bead in between the pearls. Because that is where I can add, for example, an earring component if I would like to hang mine. But let's get back now to Gemma's question. Ginny already says, I think a bracelet sounds wonderful. Beautiful design, Zuzi. Indeed, and this was so fast and so easy and straightforward to bead. So Zuzi, you again proved it, as I said at the beginning, that unfortunately I could not bead this in advance because I had only one rectangle left. So I beaded this together with you for the first time, and I had not a second of hesitation. I didn't have to start anew, and it came out perfectly. Thank you so much. So much, Zuzi. Marcelina also says that she's going to make a bracelet. So first of all, when making decisions about your bracelet, I would start with looking into your stash. That how many rectangles do you have? How many motifs can you bead? It also somewhat decides if you need to connect the motifs to each other vertically or horizontally. So if both are possible, you can connect the motifs to each other while the rectangles are facing this way, but also this way. Of course, if they are connected to each other vertically, then you need more of the motifs. If you don't have enough for a full bracelet, because let's say if you want to connect them vertically, then you would really need quite a lot. Then you can also add some bezeled rivolis in between to make the bracelet longer. So let's start with discussing the easier option, and that is to connect the motifs horizontally. And then it's very, very straightforward that you have the single delica bead in between the pearls that can be attached already to the next delica bead, or even the same delica bead can be part of two motifs. If you decide to, for example, and I think it would look absolutely lovely if you decided to square stitch bezel some of the low cut cabochons for some more sparkle and contrast in between, then you could join the bezel to this delica bead with 2-3 tiny square stitches. So that would be a possible connection if you turned the motifs this way. Of course, you can also turn the motif this way. And if you have enough rectangles for a bracelet only from the motifs, then what I see is that here I would add maybe a size 11 round seed bead with pair stitch in between the two delicas into this tiny gap, and I kind of would create this eye-shaped motif that this size 11 would be, by coincidence, I have one on my bead mat for some reason. So this size 11 would be in the middle, and symmetrically, I would join a motif to it on the left, on the right, and I would for sure also join the delicas that are here, like standing a bit like out of the motif, and in between which the Miyuki size 11 will be placed. So that is another option. Again, if you need to add some more, then think about some bezeled cabochons, for example, and I would join the Miyuki delicas of the bezel into these delica beads. Ariana has another idea. She says only one motif as a focal on strands of tilas and pearls could also be nice. And I think that is a wonderful idea. Imagine that you have only a single motif, and then I love using 6mm pearls for necklaces, for bracelets. And in this case, I would maybe make a gradual decrease in size. So again, I would include 2 square stitch bezeled cabochons on the opposite sides of the motif, and then I would switch to pearls. And lovelies, I love including pearls in my creations so much that actually what I am holding in my hand here might be something super special, exclusive, that is coming later during this month. And if you are a Beading School Advent adventurer for some years, then you might know that what I am talking about. So this is a rare sneak peek and a gift for those who are here, so no one has to bead alone. So lovely ladies, any other questions? And Gemma, please let me know if this gave you enough ideas on starting, or if you would like to have some more advice. And Kimberly says, I think the tutorial image is showing the new Preciosa baguette rectangles in between each motif. And you are very right, dear Kim, that would also be possible. And let me grab my beads, because I was working with those baguettes a little bit earlier today for something special. So I need to unpack them. There we go. For some reason, I have a few Chavan here in on my bead mat, and if I look at it from the side, then indeed the distance between the holes of the little baguette is pretty much the same as the distance between the delica beads here. So also it is possible to include these little baguettes as connectors in between the motifs. And in this case, I am very much drawn towards including colorful baguettes between these motifs. What do you think? And Angelina says, super fast component. It took me a while to start enjoying clothes for stones instead of beaded bezels. But they do accelerate the process. They do it a lot. And Gemma says, thank you, Zuzi, for this beautiful piece. Angelina says, here we go, a tease. Wouldn't be a proper broadcast without one. Oh, I don't even defend myself anymore. And Ariana says, turn it vertically and add 2 strands and come together with one of those pretty 2-strand clasps. I love this. Wow, Ariana, I love your idea. Let me grab a 2-strand clasp. I have here still the very beautiful ones from the Desert Rose collection. And by the way, next week, if I'm not mistaken, we are going to talk about multi-strand clasps during Coffee Time with Erika and how to include them in our designs. So very well done that you stocked up many of you ladies so well during the Neumann extra day. So indeed, what Ariana is suggesting, that we could connect the sides of the motif somehow with 2 strands of pearls, and then they could end in the 2 holes, 2 loops of the clasp. And of course, if you have another clasp which has even more loops, then you can adjust the number of strands of pearls to the number of loops. And this is such a good idea, Ariana. And Terry says, maybe use some of the small motifs from Juliana's signature jewel in between. And that is also possible, that because we are playing with the same colors, we are playing with the same shapes, then pretty much all the motifs match each other. So if you are in the mood for creating a statement bracelet or a statement necklace, then you can also match motifs to each other, and let's see what happens. What I have on my bead mat is also my devotion. Maybe that would also be possible. So there are indeed many, many, many different possibilities waiting for you. And Cosima says, I made a bracelet out of the devotion motif. I used 3 motifs and made the rest out of tilas and bugle beads. It turned out nice and slinky, but was simple to make. Oh, Cosima, that sounds so good and elegant and sparkly. Okay, Gemma is happy with the ideas. Thank you everyone for sharing. And Gemma, thank you for asking this question. Angelina also likes the fuchsia in between. And Kata was also thinking about the baguettes. Sherry also likes the idea. And Kim appreciates Ariana's idea. She says those clasps are so versatile. Oh, lovely ladies. I had actually a collection yesterday in my shopping basket, and it was one of the most beautiful collections, but I decided to be a good girl and I did not buy it. And then luckily someone got it during the night, because otherwise I would have been so tempted, and I should really not hoard more, but I'm with you, I am still hoarding more, of course. But yeah, I'm so curious to see that whose bead mat is going to be so lucky to have that clasp that I had on my mind. And the Neumann factory, this is something so truly special that I am so happy that I can share the love and appreciation of tradition and true craftsmanship with you ladies. Oh, and Terry said that it's so cool that you used your towns to name the collection. And I'm so glad that you noticed that those are not just random names, but indeed deliberately we named the collections following all the beautiful places where you live. And actually, I have to say that the work was putting together the collections. It was done by Ildi Co. So it's her, I appreciate very much her talent to pull together clasps that fit each other in a style or mood. And then even she was the one who looked up the names for the cities. So I'm very grateful to have Ildiko and her talent in the team. Kim has her own city. That's so cool. Angelina says those huge rectangular clasps disappeared in no time. Those are the ones, blame me, those are the ones that I used for my bracelet, so might be connected to that. Anna is asking, were the collections vintage stock or modern? Both of them, dear Anna. It was a mixture. Lita also bought her city, New York. And Ariana says, I was strict yesterday. They are always so pretty that I don't dare to use them and still have a lot. Oh. I did that with that big one for my bracelet, but in the end, I'm so incredibly happy that I can wear it. And Terry also has her city. That is so cool, ladies. Anyway, do you have any more questions left? I would love to answer your questions if you have any more. We got some questions about shipping, and we indeed did start to ship some of your advent packages. Some of you asked if the same goes for the advent packages that above a certain sum you get free shipping. It is different, because if you imagine, let's say an example, you have accumulated 500 euros of goodies. And normally through the bead shop, that means that you have free FedEx to the United States. However, because of the discounts, the 500 euros, that's a lot bigger package, maybe twice the weight. That means FedEx is a lot more expensive. While, because of the discounts, the margin that we can use for your free FedEx is a lot smaller. So the amounts are not the same as with ordinary shipping through the bead shop when we do not have discounts. However, there is a very, very big factor that matters. You know the smiley face wall in the Beadingschool treasury. So if someone manages to overflow the smiley face box and no more is fitting into the smiley face box, the smiley face might be getting a bit too smiley. So then we need to empty your box. And that's when we that's when we really try to ship your orders. But it works like we try to do as much as possible, but it is different than during usual times, understandably. Angelina also finds the Neumann clasps precious. Indeed. Sometimes the smiley faces need to be purged. So lovely, ladies. Do you have any more questions left? Let me know. If not, then I would like to thank you for this lovely broadcast today, for this lovely time together, for all the beautiful jewels in the Beadingschool Hub, for being even more patient and kind when you email or message the Beadingschool Treasury, because luckily you keep the ladies and guys super busy So your kind words and patience and understanding are very much appreciated. Of course, everyone does their best to get your goodies to you as fast and prompt and precise as possible. But precision and health and peace are the most important. So thank you so much for being so nice about how things work in the treasury in December and beyond. Oh, and Bernadette says it was a great birthday afternoon for me to bead with you. Lovely, Bernadette. Thank you for joining on your special day. And everyone, before we would leave, let's wish Bernadette a very happy birthday and all the best to you for the upcoming time, dear Bernadette. I hope that you will have a fulfilling, peaceful, and a very happy year during the upcoming 12 months of your life and beyond, of course. Merle is also checking in. Amanda, Belinda, Jessica. Ariana says, thank you, Erika and Zuzi, for that cute motif. Thank you, Marlo, Sherry. Gata says, happy birthday, Bernadette. And lovely ladies, thank you. And I will show your birthday wishes to Bernadette during the video. And please share your creations. Gemma says, I'm trying to buy some Neumann clasps, but I can't. For the collections, you need to be an advent calendar beader and sign in. Make sure to sign in, then it will be all right. So lovely ladies, thank you for today. Take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones. Bye-bye. Happy beading.